Hi Crafty creators, I'm Shelly. Welcome to my channel. I have a question for you. Do you have a floor that might look like this, or this? However, you might have a floor that looks like this, but in reality, you want this kind of a floor. Look at this beautiful floor. Don't you wish you had this floor? You can have this floor. Today's project, I'm going to take you through step by step on how to create a beautiful hardwood floor from the cutting of the wood right through the buffing, that beautiful shine on. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would love to have you part of the crafting family. I hope that you stick with me through the whole process and see how simple it can be done on a very, very tight budget. With that being said, let's get to, what do we call this? Remodeling. This is 1 by 4 by 8s, and if you measure the width of it, it's really not 4. 3 3/4 instead of 4, but that's okay. So what we're going to do with our 8-foot sections is we're going to mark every 2 feet, every 24 inches. Then we will use the speed square to make sure that we have a nice straight line. And as you can see, it's a nice straight line. And we're going to do this to all of the pieces that we've purchased. Now we're doing a 1,200 square foot home, so I can't even tell you how many of these we're going to need. But we've bought 75 of them so far, and we got a long way to go. By the end of this video, though, we'll have them all. All right, now we're going to cut our 2-foot sections. If you come across pieces of wood that have imperfections, like this one, you see this crack right here, we're going to go ahead and cut this off. Now this section will no longer be 2 feet, so it will be the 2 feet minus the probably 3 inches. So, but that's okay because it is an original hardwood floor or wood floor. So it's okay if some of them are a little bit shorter than others. It will all blend once you lay your floor in. So here is our first stack of about 43 of the 1 by 4s by 8. So these would total around 100 square feet. So hey, 900 square feet to go. Woohoo! This is laminate. We're gonna pull this up first, and so let the fun begin. So I think after we tear this up, we're gonna go ahead and paint. I just wanted to show you guys how easy it is for this stuff to actually come on. It's not that hard. So I just use a hammer here. With the floors that I'm putting in, there's 1 or 2 things you can do. You can go ahead and pull up this underlayment, as you see that I have underlayment right here. You can pull this up and put down a self-leveling compound all over your floor, and then you can put on your wood. You can nail it, glue it, however you please, or you can do it over the underlayment. I'm going to do it over the underlayment, or like an added moisture barrier, plus it cuts down on the squeaking of the boards. This room isn't very big. I think it might be I don't know, 9 feet wide by maybe 11. It's in really bad shape, as you can see. So I'm gonna finish pulling the floor. I'm gonna roll up my underlayment before I paint, and then I will sweep it really good. I'll lay down my underlayment again, and then we can get going on the floors. Okay guys, I ended up spending the last week just redoing the room, as far as prepping the walls, doing the holes, doing the sanding, lots of paint, lots of different paint. I've got one wall back here that is a dark gray. That one is called a sparrow, and then the main walls are frost, and then the trim is just trim paint. So what I have decided to do is this. Remember I had talked to you guys about putting down your wood floor on this underlayment? So I have changed my mind. I'm not going to do it on the underlayment. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and pull all of this up. I need to sweep it. This room was absolutely disgusting. So I'm going to pull up the underlayment, and then I'm going to sweep under. I'm going to sweep the subfloor and then vacuum the subfloor. And honestly, I should be using a self-leveling compound, but I am choosing not to use it. I'm taking the cheaper way out, but I think that in the end, I'm still going to be very, very happy with it. So I'm going to go ahead and get to cleaning, and then we'll actually be able to start the process of the measuring and getting that very first piece of wood put down. So if anybody is curious what underlayment is, it's like a vapor barrier and an insulator for your subfloor. And I am saving it because it is very expensive, and then that way if I need it again, I have it. So we brought a couple of loads of wood in, and the first thing that we actually need to do is find the center of the room. I was told that the planks will lay the opposite way of the subfloor, the way it was laid, not necessarily the grain, but the way it was laid. So we're going to lay it this way then. We're going to find the center. We're going to need a measuring tape and a pencil. Okay, so Crafty Nanny way of doing stuff. We're going to go from this corner to the room to the other corner, which is actually in the closet.
Yes.
So 81 will be the center. Okay. Now we're going to go from that corner over to this corner.
80.5.
Yeah. Okay, so 80 and a half. So 80 and a half. Wow, hit right on it. So that, X marks the spot. That's awesome. That turned out perfect. Now, I will be sanding this floor after we put it in. This is a 2 foot, and we need just right at the middle of it, center to center. So I barely put a little mark right there. What I want to do is line up that. So what I want to do is make this center line as close to that as possible. So I'm basically in the center, and I'm just going to move it over the top. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, that's as close to the center of the room as I can get. So I'm going to lay this here, and it's perfectly level. Perfectly level. Like there's it's perfect. So I have decided to drill pilot holes in mine. So we centered our piece of wood. We used our level to make sure it was level. That is our dog, by the way. Hello. The things that I'm going to be using for this project are a rubber mallet. I had these from when I was doing laminate flooring, and I thought I could try to use these again. The craftynannyway. I'm going to be putting these right here up against the walls. because you need a little bit of play. Once you lay your floors, you need a little bit of play because you know, houses move around, they settle, the weather makes the wood contract and expand, and that's important to have that space. Now we are putting baseboards on there, but it's still important to have play. So this is going to ensure that we don't butt anything up against the wall. Now this I brought with me just in case I need to tap one piece against the other. I have the drill bit, and this is a 332 drill bit that I am using with these finishing nails, which are 5.8 centimeters. They're 2-inch, and then a hammer. I know that they recommend you use brads. I don't have a brad nailer or anything similar to that, so I'm using the drill to drill 6 pilot holes into each piece of wood before I nail it in. So let's get busy, see how much we can do. It's important that you keep your wood still, okay, and keep your level there while you're doing that. And again, the only reason I decided to do paddle holes is because this is the type of wood that could possibly split, and I am not interested in having it split. So because of how I put in the paddle hole, that nail actually sunk. Now I'm doing opposites because I want to make sure that it stays straight. So the next piece of wood, you're going to stagger it. You don't want all of these bug up against each other in a row like a bunch of little soldiers. So you decide which side you want for the top, which I like them both, but I'm going to go with this one. Whatever design you do is up to you. You don't have to follow anybody's pattern. This is your project. I'm actually going to go right here with it. I think that'd be pretty. I did this one was a little bit more than half, so I'm going to go this way, this one, with a little bit more than half as well, just like this. Again, trying to decide which side I want. Like I said, this stuff is all, I am doing it the hard way, which is also the Crafty Nanny way. That's just the way I do things, the hard way. So I'm going to create a pattern here. Okay, just about right there. There. I want to create a pattern. See? Alright, this took 45 minutes for me to do. That's not bad, and this room isn't terribly big. But, if you've ever heard of ripping wood, this is where I'm going to tell you how it works. So you see this space that we have right here? This is kind of what I was telling you about. So it's important that we have a space between the flooring and the wall, okay? So this is gonna go here. But this piece of wood is way too big to fit. So this is what you call ripping wood. Now we have some pieces that aren't very good. So I'm probably going to, like this one. So I'm probably gonna take a piece like this and I'll do my measurement here and my measurement up there and draw it onto here. And then I'm going to cut it with my jigsaw. And then hopefully I can piece it right inside that spot. So the right is 3 inches, the left is 3 1/16 inches. So I'm going to draw that out on a piece of wood and I will use the jigsaw to cut that piece out. So this is how far we have gotten. A lot of this has not been nailed down yet because I ran out of nails. I originally only bought 1 pound. I had to buy 5 pounds. So I'm gonna finish nailing this down, and then the next step is going to be the baseboards, which we already sanded. We already sanded the baseboards and stained them. Actually, I wonder if I should sand this floor before we put the baseboards down, so I don't have to get the sand out. Yeah, I think I will. So the next step is actually going to be fitting everything onto the edges, and then I'm going to go ahead and sand the floor. But the baseboards are done. We just got to put them on, measure them, cut them, and put them on. Okay, so all that is left of this section is to go from here over. But however, we have a vent. So we'll be picking up these pieces of wood. They're not attached. And the vent. Now, these sections of wood, we want to equal the end of the vent. So this section right here, we're going to measure from here to the end of the vent, okay? And that's where our cut will be. And then this one's going to be a little bit more tricky because, oh wait, you know what? I think that's going to fit right in there, honestly. This one. But this one, okay, so what we'll do is I'll pop that into place, and then I'm going to use my jigsaw right here, and I'm going to cut just that little section out right there. And then when it's done, the vent will sit right on top. So we're going to get the measurements done, and we're going to go ahead and cut the pieces, and then I'll put the video back on so you guys can kind of see how it comes together for the vent to fit properly. Alright, so we went ahead and cut out all of the pieces. This section and this section over here, we tapped them in, so they're really snug. I'm not even going to try to attempt to take that back out to show you guys. I have a little tiny wormhole here that I will be ending up putting some putty in. And I'm noticing this section, okay, this section is fine. So a little bit of putty. And I wanted to show you this section right here. I am not putting a piece of wood in there. And the reason why is because we have some beautiful baseboards. And as you see, that will cover it right up, so there won't be an issue. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this all together and show you how I kind of pieced it like a puzzle. And then we'll see if this fits. So hopefully it does, if we did everything right. Okay, so as you can see, everything fit perfectly like a little puzzle. And I'm going to replace this, but for now we'll check it and it fits perfect. So there you have it. Just make sure that you do your measurements right. And after this, of course, we'll be sanding it and staining it and polyurethaning. This is all we have left to do, basically just the edges and along the window and the closet, and then that's it. And then we can go ahead and sand the wood is done. It's completed. So all the way around the room. Like I said yesterday, the baseboards are done and they have been stained and sanded and stained. So now I'm going to sand this. I'm getting ready to sand, and I'm going to be wearing a mask, some safety goggles. I'm going to put them on over my glasses. And I'm using a belt sander like this, even though that they recommend using a rotary sander. I do not have a rotary sander. So I'm using a belt sander with 120 grit sandpaper. That should do the floor pretty quickly. So I'm going to use this brush right here to take some of the sawdust, the loose sawdust, and I'm actually going to grind it into the space between each board. I'm going to look like an alien, I bet. See this little pile of sawdust? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be pushing it into other cracks. So I just go like this. And then when I'm done with all of this, I will vacuum it, sweep it and vacuum. And then whatever stays in there, stays in there. It's gonna get stained over it anyway. But this will help cut down on creaks when you walk and stuff, squeaks and creaks. Which actually I like, but it might annoy some people. Alright, so you get the idea. I'm gonna go ahead and finish sanding the room. Say hello to Abby. See you in the next step. So now I am on to the staining. I have chosen the dark walnut stain, but they recommend brushing it on like this, going with the grain, waiting 15 or 20 minutes and wiping it off. I am not doing that. I am going to hand rub the stain into the wood because I want it light and I want that control. Plus I think it'll dry faster. But I am going to use a brush right here to go in between each row to make sure that the stain seeps down in there. So with that being said, let's get busy. Look at all that dust on me from sanding. I think that if I did not hand rub this stain, I don't even think it would be enough. But I am hand rubbing it. Also, don't shake it. They say don't shake it because the bubbles, something about the bubbles. First thing I'm going to do is take my brush, put just a little tiny bit of stain on the end of it, and then I'm going to go kind of in between the cracks, like so. And then I'm going to put a little on my rag and then just rub it in. Oh, look how pretty that is. This is oil-based, so I am using a cheap brush that I don't mind. I'm gonna wipe them down. Okay, so it is completely stained and oh my god, I cannot believe how much I love this floor right now. I'm going to put a fan in here to dry this, and then after it is dry, I'm going to give it a couple of hours. I'll come in here with a clean rag, wipe it down, make sure that there's nothing wet in here, no debris. vacuum it and polyurethane it, but we'll go ahead and put the baseboards on first, and then we'll get this project wrapped up. I sure do like it. Woo woo. We're going to go ahead and learn how to bevel these pieces of baseboard. We're going to be using a DeWalt miter saw, and we'll come out here and let's learn how to do this.
I'm going to show you how to set up your miter saw for bevel cut. Okay, now you have a knob right here. You turn it to the left. The saw has got various degrees. Turn it all the way to 45. If you plan on making a 45-degree cut, this is where you want your saw to be. If you got one of these, go ahead and take the wall off, because the saw will not go unless you take this off. If you want to make the right bevel cut, you take a speed square. You already got a 45-degree angle here. Make it flush with the side of your wood. Draw your line. There's a 45. Now what you will do is take your speed square and you will go to the end of this right here. Make sure it's perfectly straight and flush. Draw your line here. This is where your saw is going to go to make its cut on 45 degrees. I will show you. Make sure that your saw lines up with this line. Do not put your hands on the go button yet. Just always make sure that lines up. A perfect 45-degree bevel. We are going to do this with the baseboards today, and with a perfect smooth edge.
Well, there you have it, guys. So now we have our tutorial on how to bevel. So we are going to do that and get all these baseboards put up. Okay, so I wanted to show you the baseboards are on. All the baseboards are on, and the only hiccup that I ran into was I ended up with a gap right here where this caulk is. So I did caulk it, but when it's dry, I'm going to paint it brown. I probably could have used wood filler, but I would have needed a lot because it was a pretty big gap. So that's just how I'm going to do it, you know, the crafty nanny. I'm going to put the outlet covers on, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to tape painter's tape all along the baseboard top, because I'm going to polyurethane it and I don't want any of that poly on that new paint. Polyurethane, and I am using a water-based polyurethane. This is just for floors, and it's professional grade, and it's quick dry, and that's one of the reasons why I chose it. So I went ahead and I did the closet. This actually surprised me when I opened it because it looks like milk and it smells like paint. So the scent is not overwhelming. Now I've chosen this great big fat painter's brush for a house, just because it's about the same width as my wood. So I went ahead and did the closet. If you want to take a peek over there, I went ahead and did the closet, and it is very, very pretty, and it actually looks a little bit milky, but I think that as it dries, it won't. Like you can see in that spot, right here, it's a little bit white. That is the polyurethane. So it's very, very thin like water, which I love that too. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna turn on the fan, and I'm gonna come over to that corner over there, and I'm gonna get going. Oh, also recommending, take a white cloth or a soft cloth and brush the area that you're going to poly before you do it to make sure there's no debris. So I wanted to say again how important it is to make sure that you're brushing any dust and stuff off your floor before you do the poly. And those of you that can wear knee pads, my knees are very sore. I've spent a lot of time on them the last couple of days. Now, this is not the final step, so just bear with me because there's one more step to go. And when I do that last step, I'm going to tell you probably about approximate how much this whole floor project costs, so y'all are aware of what it costs. Okay, you guys, it's a little chilly this morning, so I'm going to have a jacket on for a little bit, but the last step is, well, not really the last step, the last two steps. So we have some steel wool, and we have a buffer. Now this is actually for car paint, cars or car paint, but it works great on wood. And we have feed-in wax. So what I'm going to do now is use the steel wool to go over the top of the dried polyurethane. I will wipe it off with a clean white rag, and then I will buff over the top. So let's get to buffing. Well, there you have it, you guys. If you have stuck with me through the entire process, you can see how easy it is to do, and it was inexpensive. This is a 9x11 room, and it cost under $400 in wood. A few of the other things like the stain and polyurethane we already had on hand, but you could add that into your budget. So I just wanted to share this with you to show you that it doesn't matter your age, you can do this. And if you don't have a miter saw or something like that, you can do it by hand. I realize it would be a lot more work, but it can be done if it's really what you want. So I wanted to say thank you so much for sticking with me and for watching my video. And God bless. Stay safe out there. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.